Show your cards.
I have 2 small pair.
Yeah, coming on.
Thank you.
You're not gonna look at your card? How you gonna know if you can beat my straight flush?
Unbeatable.
The 10 of spades, the jack of spades, queen of spades, the king of spades. A possible royal flush.
You know, it's amazing how good shows and good movies never have to deal with this. It's almost like it's used as nothing more than a diversion, nothing more than to shield that level of criticism that they can't seem to deal with. Rings of Power has made the same exact play as so many other bad shows and bad movies before it. The moment you get criticized, the moment that you are called out for your bad writing and your bad storytelling and your lack of understanding and appreciating the lore that came before it, as soon as that happens, they pull the anyone that's criticizing us is racist card, and it is meant to deter anyone from actually having valid criticism. It's meant to intimidate you from having any real criticism. We saw this with Kenobi. We saw this with The Last Jedi. We saw this with Ghostbusters 2016. It's amazing how we don't hear this with House of the Dragon. It's amazing how we didn't hear this with Better Call Saul. It's amazing how we didn't hear this with Cobra Kai. It's amazing how we didn't hear this with Top Gun Maverick. It's amazing how we didn't hear this with Dune. It's amazing when something's actually good and audiences really like it. It's amazing how there's suddenly no racism or sexism. But as soon as you make something really bad, as soon as you make something that doesn't appreciate what came before it, as soon as you decide to spend $1 billion to buy a property that has a pre-existing fan base, but you don't want to appreciate that fan base, and then, of course, you give that fan base a bad product and they criticize it, you go to the race card. And then, of course, you have Amazon's Lord of the Rings right here tweeting this out. Then you have Star Wars co-signing it right here. From Middle Earth to a galaxy far, far away, you are all welcome here. Well, you've established that no, all people are not welcome. You've established that. In fact, when you go into the tweet from Rings of Power and it says, we, the cast of Rings of Power, stand together in absolute solidarity and against the relentless racism, threats, harassment, and abuse from some of our castmates of color are being subjected to on a daily basis. We refuse to ignore it or tolerate it. What's funny about that is then they continue and they point blank say, our world has never been all white. Imagine saying that, but at the same time talking about how you're against racism. You are specifically targeting a race of people based on their skin color right there in your tweet. The self-awareness is unbelievable. But it's not surprising. It's not surprising for anyone that's been paying attention to this stuff because this is the same exact narrative they have been pushing for years. Anytime you criticize them for pushing their nonsense, for ruining something because they have decided that identity politics and social justice pandering are more important than the story. The entire cast pushed all of this leading up to the release of Rings of Power. They talked about how it was so important because we're going to revolutionize this because this is the first woman dwarf. No, you're not. I even said as much. The actress that portrayed Disa, I think she did a fantastic job in the show. It doesn't change the fact that all of her interviews were cringeworthy beyond belief, and it was ridiculous, and it was a major turnoff. Yes, she is the best part of the show. I can fully admit that. And I can fully admit that, yeah, my assumptions about her being bad in terms of her portrayal because of her interviews and how she didn't talk about anything that had to do with Lord of the Rings or Tolkien or anything like that. All she talked about was identity politics, and she pretended she was the first ever woman to be in a role in the Tolkien universe. It's ridiculous. The nonsense that she was spewing was ridiculous. But hey, the show got here, and she's by far the most enjoyable character of the show. But of course, me saying that just means I'm a racist according to Rings of Power. Again, it's so easy to watch this all play out. Good shows, good movies, good video games suddenly don't have a racism problem. But as soon as something's bad, as soon as something has terrible writing, terrible dialogue, terrible storytelling, terrible pacing, terrible everything, suddenly it's only the racists that are mad about it. It's the same exact thing every single time, and people just are not falling for it at this point in time. Yeah, you have a few nut jobs out there on social media that are just going to buy this up because they believe that racism is everywhere you turn, but most people understand that this is nothing more than a diversion to take the attention away from this show not being good. It's not a good show. It doesn't mean you can't like it. You can love it and you can watch it as many times as you want, but that doesn't make it good. Because it seems like the people that often get on these soapboxes with things like Kenobi and Rings of Power and the latest stuff that we're getting from the MCU, they need everyone else to agree with them. They can't be confident enough in their own opinion. They need everyone else to agree with their opinion. And if you don't agree with their opinion, they somehow feel like their opinion is invalid now. They need everyone else to confirm their opinions for them because they don't have any confidence in what they're actually saying. And again, I use X-Men Origins Wolverine as a classic example of a bad movie that I very much enjoy. And I use that because of the Deadpool aspect, because I don't like Deadpool as a character. So shutting him up and ruining him didn't bother me on a personal level, but I totally understand why Deadpool fans and comic fans in general hate that movie, because there's a lot of reasons why you would not like that movie. It's not a good portrayal of that character, but I enjoy it because it's okay to like bad movies. It's also okay to dislike good movies. When you're confident up in where you stand, you don't need everyone else to agree with you to make you feel better about it. But these social justice weirdos out there need everyone else to make them feel better about their own opinions because they're weak-minded and they don't have any confidence in where they stand on anything. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Have a great day. I appreciate all of you, and we will talk to you later.